In an attempt by Disney to relaunch their anthology series, It's a Wonderful World of Disney, network producers turned to Broadway kings Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein to remake their successful 1950s Broadway musical, Cinderella, into a televised movie. Whitney Houston, a fan of the movie Gypsy, created by the directors of the new Cinderella movie, was excited to be a part of the project, and worked as co-producer and acted as the fairy godmother in the movie, while rising singer Brandy played the titular role of Cinderella. The show's script was rewritten and modernized for a black female lead and new modern audience in mind. Many of the musical songs were revamped to accommodate to Houston and Brandy's style of voice, and the directors made the active choice to colorblind the cast of characters, creating a racially diverse cast that was unprecedented not only for its time, but even 25 years later, challenging Hollywood's present-day attempts at racial tokenism. This all resulted in Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella in 1997, or as I like to affectionately call it, Whitney Houston's Cinderella. The movie, like most iterations of Cinderella, follows a similar plot. A girl lives in servitude under the abuse of her stepfamily. One day she wishes to see the prince, and with the help of her fairy godmother, she is whisked to the ball. She meets the prince, they fall in love, and the prince saves her from abuse, and achieves the ultimate goal of social mobility. Instead, through its story of class division, dreams versus actions, and black female empowerment, Houston's movie provides a depth of emotion and agency to its characters that contrasts strongly to its animated fairy tale predecessor. So let's take a look at the characters, starting with the female lead. On the surface level, Brandy Cinderella is seen as a self-described, mousy, soft-spoken, and meek girl. She seems unbothered by the abuse her stepfamily put her through, instead enduring everything with a smile. However, as the audience learns in the song In My Own Little Corner, Cinderella struggles with the abuses of her family, staying out of loyalty to her deceased father's will. The chair in front of the fireplace is the one place in the entire house where Cinderella feels safe. In that corner, she gives herself the freedom, without inhibitions, to express her creativity. Similar to the message in Virginia Woolf's A Room of One's Own, Cinderella is able to reconstruct her entire existence to make one where she is accepted for not only who she is, but given the freedom to be whoever she wants to be. These range from Egyptian princess to huntress on an African safari. The song also reveals where her nickname Cinderella comes from, and instead of being ashamed by her stepsister's bullying, Cinderella finds the name to be fitting, and one she grows to accept as her own. Just like in the fairy tale, Cinderella's relationship with her stepmother is antagonistic. However, unlike the animated feature, stepmother is not cruel to Cinderella because she is jealous of her beauty. Instead, she resents Cinderella because she is, quote, spoiled by fantasies of romance and getting married for love. In the song Lovely Night, Cinderella recounts her experience with the prince, being careful not to reveal that she was at the ball. The romance of finding the one true love in the song pulls stepmother in and reveals how she has fallen in love only to be repeatedly disappointed. The stepmother is a victim of society's class structures and gender binary. Women are expected to get married and become reliant on their male partners to provide for them. The repeated disappointments stepmother faced from her love interest convinced her the best way to protect oneself was by playing the system. A woman can't find financial stability through love, and money is power. While her actions towards Cinderella do not excuse her behavior, from the different lens, one could see her actions as an ambitious mother trying to secure her daughters a prosperous and stable future. Throughout the movie, there have been multiple conversations on class division. These were directed at Cinderella for being a commoner, and she was told multiple times that the prince would never be interested in a low-class girl like her. So, when Cinderella does go to the ball in her shiny new dress, she develops imposter syndrome and feels guilty for potentially manipulating the royal family into thinking she is a high-class woman. As a result, she flees from the ball and asks her fairy godmother to send her back home, as she can't bear to deceive the prince and his family anymore. The prince himself, introduced in the first 5 minutes of the movie, disguised as a normal villager, chastises a nobleman's carriage for almost bulldozing Cinderella. He is acutely aware of the privilege his title grants him, but has no desire to abuse such power, even going so far as to condemn the kingdom's treatment of him, equating it to male objectification. Just like the stepmother, the prince is given greater depth than his Disney counterpart. The two love interests actually meet in the beginning of the movie in a meet-cute scenario. It's clear that the prince has fallen in love with Cinderella at first sight. However, when Cinderella does not respond to his flirtations, the prince makes the "you're not like other girls" comment, to which she takes offense to. I find this to be very interesting because it shows one of Cinderella's core strengths, that there is nothing wrong with being like other girls, and there's nothing wrong with being feminine. It also casually challenges a narrative that perpetuates internalized misogyny. The story of Cinderella is often criticized for being sexist and anti-feminist. One critic argued that Huston's movie provides nothing substantial besides racial diversity. I was shocked by their claims and offended on Huston's behalf. The movie is a testament of Black women empowering other Black women, and that cannot be better visualized than with the fairy godmother. From the very beginning of her introduction, Huston's character has challenged Cinderella's understanding of her situation. The fairy godmother is presented as a woman in a position of power. However, she does not use her privileges to perpetuate a system of oppression or to manipulate Cinderella for her own gain. It is important to note that she does not use her magic to save Cinderella. Huston's character only provides the necessary tools and words of encouragement Cinderella needs to take that first step towards her true potential. For example, after the ball, Cinderella questions whether or not she's attracted to the prince for his beauty or for who he is. Is all of this a projection of her romantic desires? In these musings, she fears that the prince will reject her because she is a commoner. Huston emerges, advising Cinderella to trust him, to accept her for who she is. Cinderella decides that no matter what, she is someone that deserves love and respect. She thanks the fairy godmother for helping her, and Huston responds by saying, "You never needed my help, you just thought you did." In the final act of the film, Cinderella runs away to find the prince and confess her feelings. In a moment of movie irony, the prince arrived at her home with the glass slipper. Cinderella flees before they meet, and it is only when the prince's carriage almost runs her over does she meet the prince, making the plot come full circle. The movie ends with the song Impossible/It's Possible by Huston, as she describes the unlikely meeting of a prince and, quote, country bumpkin, end quote, and that anything is possible so long as you are willing to take the first step.